It's another beautiful morning here in Upper Gwinnett, Pennsylvania. And I have a question for you. Did you see an advertisement on this video before you saw my face? Because I'm trying to get these advertisements off of my channel. And I know it can be done because one of my favorite channels, Buzz 1151, has never had any advertisements on any of his videos. So my clever plan was to monetize the channel and demonetize the videos. So I applied to have the channel monetized, and I had to wait a week or two. And they said, okay, we'll let you monetize the channel if you qualify. And I had to wait another 2 weeks to see if I qualified. And thanks to you guys watching the video about this tape recorder, I had enough views that I qualified to have the channel monetized. This got about 30,000 views. Then I had to wait another 2 weeks to see if I was deemed worthy enough, or if my channel was worthy enough to have advertisements on it, which I find rather amusing since it was plenty worthy enough to have YouTube put their advertisements on it. So after a total time of about a month, they said, yes, we deem you worthy. Well, I immediately demonetized all the videos. Now, the only caveat is that some of the older videos have copyrighted material in them, and when I posted them, they said, you can't monetize this video. I didn't care at the time, but my question is, if I can't monetize it, can I demonetize it? We'll find out soon. So speaking of Buzz 1151, and this is my segue into the video. If you watched his channel, you know that he has the Buzz Box. Now, I think it's called the Buzz Box. Every invention he makes has buzz in it somewhere, like the Buzz-O-Matic coil winder. The Buzz Box monitors the voltage and the current coming into the radios that he's working on. And he controls the input of the Buzz Box with something called a variac. Now, I happen to have a variac. I inherited from somebody that doesn't need it anymore. A variac is like a giant motor control or light dimmer. You plug the variac into your outlet, and you plug another device into the output of the variac, and you can control the voltage going into it. Now, he was using this as a motor control for a big window fan, and I absconded with it after permission from his sister. So I have the variac, and I was up on eBay looking at some stuff from the National Radio Institute, being as I am a graduate of said institute. But I didn't take a radio course, I took a computer course. So I'm up on eBay, and I find this, the National Radio Institute Appliance Tester. This was built around 1960 by a student taking the correspondence course in small appliance repair. This monitors the voltage and the current going into a device, exactly like the Buzz Box. So, instant Buzz Box. I got the variac, and I've got the Buzz Box. However, the eBay seller cut off the cord after he found out it didn't work, and then said it was untested. I didn't care, I can fix it, right? Well, after looking at it, it's going to take a little bit more work than I thought to turn it into the Buzz Box, and that's what this video is going to be about. Before we go any further in the video, let's take a look over at Buzz 1151's channel. We'll look at a couple clips of Buzz using the Buzz Box. We'll get to see what it looks like, how it works, how Buzz uses it, and why this thing resembles it.
Okay, box is hot. The variac is hot. Here we go. Watch that AC amps. Watch for any explosions or smoke or anything. This is 30 volts. $60 volts. We're at 70 volts. 80 volts. 90 volts.
After the Blues got the equalizer in the third. The thing that was great about tonight is when they tied the game up, everybody's really
Fantastic. 84 years old, folks. Gonna make that hot. We're gonna make this hot. Here we go. Maybe we'll get some fireworks here on the 4th of July, yeah?
Yeehaw!
Make sure this is on. Alright, it's on.
You should be careful.
Showing a little bit of current here.
Hey, duck and cover.
About 90 volts there. Hey.
I cut those clips up pretty good. They were actually a lot longer, but what I wanted to show you is how Buzz uses that box to monitor the voltage and the current. Now, if the current were to spike, there's a short circuit of some sort in the radio, and Buzz can quickly cut the power to the box. You can't do that with this. You'd have to pull the plug out, so some modifications or the addition of an on-off switch is necessary. What I like about Buzz's videos is that music he's got playing in the background. He's got that Little Rascals soundtrack going. It makes the video a little more interesting. In which case, my video should be filled with Little Rascals music. We can even get rid of the video portion. Earth calling Mars. Earth calling Mars. Well, now we've got our little appliance repair business going. We've got our phone. It's the wrong kind of phone for 1960, but it's the best I could do. And we've put a poster in the store window in the corner because there's no internet. And we just have to wait for the calls to come in. There's one now. Acme Appliance, this is Brutus.
My toaster isn't working, and I don't know how to fix it. Can you take a look at it?
Yeah, buddy, I'll take a look at it. Send me a picture. Acme Appliance, this is Brutus.
My toaster isn't working. I know you have a National Radio Institute appliance tester, so get out here and use it. You spent a fortune on that stupid correspondence school. Now see if you can get back 10 cents on the dollar.
Yeah, lady, why don't you go in the bathtub with it? If it doesn't work after that, give me a call back. We need a decent customer. Maybe this one. Acme Appliance, this is Brutus.
Hello, Brutus? I'm having a problem with my toaster. It's getting real hot. I need you to come over with your National Radio Institute appliance tester and check my outlet.
All right, Sugar Plum. I'll be right there. Brutus from Acme Appliance has just arrived at the customer's premises, and he's going to troubleshoot an electric toaster that's getting too hot. He opens his National Radio Institute appliance tester, finds an outlet where he can plug it in. Preferably, he wants to plug it into the same outlet that the toaster uses. He plugs in the box and turns his switch to 150 volts. Immediately, the voltmeter reads 115 volts, telling Brutus that the outlet is fine. He finds the cord to the toaster and plugs it in, presses the lever down on the toaster, and immediately the ammeter starts to rise until it gets too high, and he realizes that one of the heating elements inside the toaster is shorted out. He unplugs the toaster, he unplugs the test box, he reaches into the storage compartment and finds therein some test leads. Plugs the test leads into the pin jacks, switches the box to ohms, and he now has an ohm meter where he can troubleshoot the heating element. He finds that somebody dropped their car keys into the toaster, shorting out the element. He removes the car keys, the toaster begins to function normally. He collects $1.25 because it's 1960, hands over the car keys to a very happy and thankful customer, packs up, and it's back to the shop for another call. Acme Appliance, this is Brutus.
I bet you thought they'd find my body in the bathtub. I'm reporting you to the...
Wrong number, lady.
You have
have reached a number that has been disconnected or is no longer in service.
One of the biggest limitations to using this thing as a modern appliance tester is this outlet. It's ungrounded and non-polarized. You wouldn't be able to plug in a modern clothes iron, vacuum cleaner, toaster, or hair dryer in there. Another limitation as far as radio work is concerned is this 0 to 20 amp meter. No radio would ever draw more than 1/3 or 1/2 of an amp, so this needle would hardly deflect. The meter has to be replaced with something that reads a lot less, maybe a 0 to 2 instead of a 0 to 20. I think it's really cool that this comes with a built-in volt ohm meter. If I swap out this meter and use the Variac, I can use this to fix radios. However, the rotary switch is broken. It seems okay from here, but this ohm meter requires a battery for it to function. The battery was held in the back between this wire and this wire, and whoever removed the battery must have yanked on this wire and broke the wafer right off of the rotary switch. So this device doesn't work at all at the moment. So I could rewire the switch and use the working wafer as an on-off switch, get rid of the pin jacks and get rid of this control, change this meter to match the new meter, and change the outlet. So this went from something where I could use it right out of the box to I'm only going to use the box. And the box isn't even in good shape. Somebody spray painted it with silver spray paint and it looks terrible. But we can make a buzz box from scratch. I'm not quite certain how I'm going to proceed with this. I need to make a new panel because these pin jacks and this control aren't going to be here, and neither is this useless outlet. I bought a nice polarized grounded outlet and I got a round one because a round hole will be easier to cut. And I can put this in place of the old one and move our control over to here, which at this point will just be on and off. I could put the outlet up here, but I lose my cord storage. I was thinking of facing it this way, but this piece of wood here is too thick. Now Buzz's box sits vertically so he can use it in his videos. By changing the orientation of the meters, this one can sit vertically as well. In addition, there's a device called a dim bulb tester. If you don't have one of these boxes and you don't have a Variac, you plug your radio into the dim bulb tester, and if the bulb lights up, there's a short circuit. So I have here a light bulb socket and a 60-watt chandelier bulb. I can incorporate the dim bulb tester into the box. But once again, I lose my cord storage. So I'll think about this for a while, and in the meantime, take this apart and see how many parts we can harvest from it, starting with this 0 to 20 amp meter. Well, here's all of our parts, and some of them might actually be useful, except for this. A day has come and gone, and I'm still no closer to making any major decisions about this box other than one. I've made one decision. I'm going to mount the meters vertically. Now, as far as storing the cord in this compartment, I've got a couple of thoughts about that. If we store the cord in here, when we put the lid on it and carry it around, we won't have a cord dangling from the box. Dangling. You don't want stuff dangling. However, this is not a mobile appliance repair shop, and I won't be carrying this box around anywhere. And I'm starting to think that the real reason I can't make up my mind about putting the dim bulb tester in this compartment is that I'm just lazy. I bought these Chinese-made meters on eBay, AC volts and AC amps. And the difference in the quality between the American-made ones and the Chinese ones is quite remarkable. And why are they blue? Don't they have white paper in China? But to replace the meters with vintage American-made meters would be quite costly. If I use this compartment here to store the cord, while the box is in use, the cord comes out the front. And I don't know about that. I guess it's okay. But if I use this compartment as the dim bulb tester, what am I going to put over here where you can still see the bulb, but that it looks pretty cool? Now, one idea I came up with was a piece of plexiglass where part of it is painted, but it might get hot in there. So here's the simplest idea. We're going to put this in here in lieu of a mounting. Now, I realized if I switch from this style of chandelier bulb to this style of chandelier bulb and mount it at just the right place and just the right height, I could just cut a circle out of the panel and have a piece of the bulb protrude through the panel so you can observe the filament of the bulb. I think that's a pretty cool idea. As far as the rest of it, these Chinese meters are a little bit smaller than the American meters. So we've got some room to move them around. This video is brought to you by Ritz Crackers. Should have thought of that before I demonetized it. So I printed out some pictures of the meters. Here's the outlet. And here's our switch. Now I can move these around. I can move the outlet around. I could put the switch at the top. I could try to make it look all lined up. I don't know. I'll have to give more thought to it. In the meantime, I'll cut out a blank panel out of a clipboard. Here's my clipboard. I hate to ruin a clipboard, but a clipboard is a fine source of front panel material. All I need to do is put my panel on it and trace around it and cut it out to the proper size. But check this out, from the dollar store. Chalkboard Tableau Noir. Now this clipboard is pretty strong, but I can flex it if I try. The Chalkboard Tableau Noir is even stronger, and it's almost the exact same size. And it has a finish on it already. So we are going to go with a couple of Chalkboard Tableau Noirs instead of the clipboard. I have a feeling that the words Tableau Noir are French for chalkboard. I've just learned a new word, a new French word, like croissant or cul-de-sac. Johnny, can you go up to the Tableau Noir and please write the answer to the problem on the Tableau Noir? Acme Appliance, this is...
It's pronounced tableau noir, you idiot.
This is the final layout I've come up with. I've mounted the socket on the bottom, so when you plug into it, the cord won't drape over or block one of these meters. I've got to transfer this to our Tableau Noir, and I've got two circle cutters. This circle cutter is a little bit too large for the meter, but I may get it to work. Ironically, it's a little bit too small for the old meters. This circle cutter is too small for the outlet, but I can enlarge it with a Dremel. I need more torque. I'm supposed to be able to get more torque out of this by moving this belt onto a different pulley. But if I do that, the belt gets loose. Like I need another belt, but it didn't come with any other belts. What a piece of junk. The hole was too large, and I've just ruined my tableau noir. Fortunately, I have a spare one in the house. I'll have to use this circle cutter and a Dremel. I guess it won't be too bad. Thanks to a Dremel brand rotary tool, we now have a front panel. And I only ruined one of them, which is really good for me. So now that we have a panel, what do we do with the box? The box is in good condition physically, but cosmetically it's terrible. And this stuff on here resembles paper. I think it is paper. So this is not one of those leatherette finishes like you find on a radio cabinet or a suitcase. This is paper. So I'm going to try to get the paper off and perhaps recover it with more paper, vinyl wallpaper. And if that doesn't work, there's always paint. Alright, so it looks like we can spray this with water. I don't think the water will go through the silver spray paint. So we'll scratch it up a little bit. Try this out. Wow. Alright, let's wet this. Let it sit for a second. I'm going to do the rest of this outside. exercising the socket. I'm exercising it. Be gone, foul demon. The power of the National Radio Institute compels you. It's not that kind of exercise. I'm exercising it the way Jack LaLanne would exercise. So it's pretty hard to press this plug in here, and then it's hard to pull it out. And our front panel is now weak because it's filled with holes. And I realized that pushing the plug in like that is liable to break the panel. Or pulling it out, you're liable to pull the whole panel right out of the box. So I've got a workaround. I'll show you my improvements to the box. These two wooden blocks have been added to the box. The outlet will be attached to the wooden blocks right through the front panel. This takes all the stress off the panel. I can press on this as hard as I want, and it's sort of independent of the panel. Here's our box so far, and it's ready for its new covering. Corners have been put in to hold the side panel, and of course the blocks for the outlet. I found that this box had been covered the first time before the hardware had been attached. I cannot remove the hardware because it's put in with these weird rivet things. It's a rivet on one side and a staple on the other, and it can't be removed without damaging the box. So I will have to work around the hardware. This should be no problem at all. But this handle might be a bit of a challenge. Yeah, so we'll see how it turns out. Inside this envelope are two vinyl wallpaper samples that I bought back in May of 2018 from DBA Wallpapers to Go, Horseshoe Bay, Texas. And there are two samples in here because I ordered one sample and I told them it wasn't big enough and they sent me another one. The reason I have samples is because the minimum amount of wallpaper you can buy is 2 rolls of 36 feet, which I certainly didn't need. So what do you think of this pattern? Do you think this is too busy? Here's the original. And I'll tell you what, the quality of this vinyl wallpaper far exceeds the quality of this crap. Now I realize some of the backing is missing, but this is really cheap. I guess it looked good when the box was new back in 1960, but it certainly didn't hold up. Now, Plan B was to paint the box, but that's going to be Plan C. Plan B, if this doesn't work out, is to cover it with this vinyl shelf paper. It's time to exit the garage. I'm starting to smell myself. We'll pick this project up again tomorrow morning, early. I'm not going to have enough wallpaper to do all 5 sides of the box and both sides of the lid. So I scanned the wallpaper and printed up some more. The wallpaper does not want to stick to the box. It's okay on this side. That's the flat side. After all, it is wallpaper. But it doesn't like to be bent and cut around all these little corners. So we'll leave this tape on and let it dry for a couple of hours. And we'll come back, take the tape off, and see whether or not we need to make the sad trombone sound. It's 6 hours later, and it's 100 degrees in here. It should be dry. Check this out, even the tape doesn't stick. I've got my sad trombone ready. My daughter gave me this sad trombone just for my videos. So let's see what we have here. We'll carefully take the tape off. So most of it's stuck, and this can be fixed. Uh-oh. Oh. Oh, no. No, we can't have this. It's not sticking. Well, it certainly wasn't hard to get this off. It just peeled right off. Hey, wouldn't it be funny if when you ordered a sample of wallpaper, you got a piece with no paste on it? This is supposed to be pre-pasted vinyl wallpaper. But I don't see any paste on it. You would think there would be some kind of residue on there, but there's not. So I basically tried to paste this on with water. Acme Appliance, this is Brutus.
Only a moron would think you can glue something together with water. Your mother must have dropped you on your head when you were an infant.
Here's the box, enveloped in vinyl. Now, I'm not 100% satisfied with how this turned out, but it sure looks better than it once did. And I found out why they used that cheap paper, because it wasn't easy to cover this. I saved the lid till last because I thought the lid would be a piece of cake, and it turned out the lid was actually harder to cover than the rest of the box. So I have a mistake here right around this handle and another one down here. I can probably touch that up with some gray paint. And I'll tell you what, when I was putting this piece of paper on, it had to come through the handle and around the handle and be folded over. And Plan C was starting to look real good. That can of spray paint was about to come out. But I persevered. And it turned out pretty good. Now, we'll get our parts in here. And the finished product should look pretty good. This is the schematic that we're going to use to wire the box. On one side we've got the plug, and on the other side we've got the outlet. This will be a 3-prong plug, and that'll be a grounded outlet. So the neutral and the ground are connected directly to the outlet. On the hot side, it will go through a fuse, an ammeter, a 3-way switch, and a light bulb. And there will be a voltmeter across the outlet. So I've got all the parts. Here's an ammeter, 0 to 2 amperes. A voltmeter, 0 to 150 volts. There's a fuse, a 3-way rotary switch, a light bulb, and the outlet. And the only thing I need is a cord with a 3-prong plug on it. The meters and the rotary switch are mounted on the front panel. That was the easy part. Now the rotary switch goes clockwise. Keep in mind that when you wire a rotary switch, you wire it in reverse on the back, or counterclockwise, because you're looking at the back of it. So if it's off bulb and on the back, it would be counterclockwise, off bulb and on. As for the bulb, this bulb should last forever. But these foreign-made bulbs are notorious for having a lifespan of about 2 minutes. So the entire socket assembly can be removed to facilitate easily changing the bulb. I think I've got this wired up all correctly, and underneath my wire nuts are soldered connections. So now I need to find 10 of the same type of screws, 4 for each panel and 2 for the outlet. And we'll clean up the mess on the workbench and we'll try it out. I found 10 screws, but they're the ugly Phillips head screws. And I'm not even sure if these are wood screws. These might be sheet metal screws. Now compare these ugly things with one of the original screws from the appliance tester. Nice nickel-plated slot head screw. So I'll use these for now. And later this week, I'll go out to Ace Hardware and I'll pick up a dozen of these slot head screws in stainless steel. All right, we're ready for the big test. I haven't done anything off camera, so if it doesn't work, you'll see it not work. The first test will be with this outlet tester to make sure that the outlet's wired correctly. But before we do anything, we have to insert a fuse into the fuse holder. Alright, first we'll put it on bulb. Okay, voltmeter's working and the outlet is wired correctly. And there's full on. Alright, now let's test the dim bulb, and we'll use a soldering iron as a load. Here's a 75 watt Archer soldering iron from Radio Shack. We get nothing, put it on bulb, voltmeter's reading, we'll turn on the soldering iron, and there's our dim bulb. Notice also our current meter is going up. It's reading, I guess, 0.4 of an amp. We'll put that on full on. It's now reading almost 0.9 of an ampere. And the soldering iron's getting hot. Now let's test a short circuit condition. I've got a cord here and it's shorted out at the end. So this will represent a radio or an appliance that has a short circuit. Box is off. The bulb lights fully. Now if I were to turn this on, it would blow the fuse. Now that we know the test box is working, let's try it again with an actual radio. And I happen to have, George Carlin would love that, he happens to have. I have a friend who happens to have. I happen to have a radio that was built by a student, not me, of the National Radio Institute. And apparently his last name began with the letter M. So I turned this on and it worked a few months ago, and we'll try it again now. This radio is completely unrestored. It's in the same condition it was in when the student built it 60 years ago. When I got it, it was missing a vacuum tube. And I have a note here to myself that a 6BE6 was replaced with a 12BE6. So it's the correct tube, but the wrong filament voltage, because I didn't have a 6BE6. and the radio worked when I turned it on. So let's give it a try. Box is off. Our meter is off. The radio is on. Turn it to bulb. We've got a dim bulb. Now the brightness of the dim bulb fluctuates as the filaments of the vacuum tubes in the radio heat up. Our meter is reading about 90 volts and we're drawing about 0.3 of an ampere. I don't hear anything. I don't know how long it's going to take for this to up. Okay, we have some volume. I think we have an intermittent volume control. Okay, this radio apparently has a problem with the tuning mechanism. I can't tune it. I am getting a hum. Let's go to full voltage. Okay, dim bulb is off.
And another thing, I'll throw my toaster in the trash before I let you touch it. Your stupid test box lost half its usefulness after you got your hands on it. All you had to do was fix the switch. But no, you couldn't pour water out of a rubber boot if the instructions were printed on the bottom of the heel. You're going places with your correspondence course, all right. You're going broke. That's where you're going.
Acme Appliance, this is Brutus.
Don't you dare change the station while I'm broadcasting. You're not rid of me that easy.
Mom, I'm making a video.
You're making a video? Well, in that case, have fun, and don't be late for dinner. Oh, and by the way, a bill came in the mail for you. It's from the National Radio Institute. Now you'll hit me up for some money. You and your stupid appliance course cost me more money than an actual appliance. When are you going to get a real...
Now let's try this again, but with the variometer, the way that Buzz 1151 does it. And I've got the perfect candidate radio here. I've got this old junker I found in my garage, and there's a note inside. This thing is filthy dirty. I have no idea where it came from. Looks like we've got a broken wire here to our antenna, and there's a note inside. It's dated August the 12th, 2021. Loud pop and smoke. That was cool. So let's bring this up on the variometer and see what happens. I went through all the trouble of putting a grounded outlet in our box with a grounded plug, and the variometer doesn't have one. I can't even plug it in. I'm going to use this cheater. I mean, it's okay, the radio doesn't have a polarized plug or anything. And I'll just leave this cheater plugged into the Variac permanently. Now it fits. Now we're set up the way Buzz 1151 would have his setup. Radio is on. The box is on bulb. Variac is hot. We need some suspenseful music. 10 volts, 20 volts, keep your eye on the light bulb. 30 volts, 40 volts, got nothing in the radio yet, keep your eye on the light bulb. 50 volts. we're set up here the way Buzz 1151 would be set up. So the box is hot, the Variac is hot. We need some suspenseful music. 10 volts, 20 volts, 40 volts, 50 volts. There's no smoke, but the tubes are not lighting up either. And we aren't drawing any current whatsoever. Is this on? The radio is on. "100 volts, the tubes aren't lighting up, and we've got no current being drawn." So whatever that pop was that caused the smoke, all right, there's 120 volts and nothing's happening. All right, perfect candidate for restoration. It's drawing some current. I didn't do anything to it, it just started working by itself. But nothing's smoking. Come on, smoke. Whoa. I bet if we clean this up and replace a couple components inside, we'll have a nice radio. This project turned out really nice. I made a label for the switch so I would know what I'm doing in the future. Off, bulb, on. And I got the correct screws from Ace Hardware. I was going to get stainless steel screws because I like the color of the stainless steel. But a stainless steel screw at Ace Hardware is 47 cents for one. And it's not that I don't have $4, it's the principle of the thing. The only aspect of the entire project that bothers me is this vinyl paper. I left this here in the garage and it got really hot in the garage. And I think it popped a little bit. I think maybe the glue melted. I can paste that down with something. There, there's a problem there. And on the side here, it got a bubble in it. But I think if I take this in the house and just let it cool down, the problem may resolve itself. Well, thank you for watching, and Buzz 1151, thank you for the inspiration.
Mike,
Yeah?
I tried to plug in the toaster oven, and there's no cord on it.
We'll call Acme Appliance. Don't answer that.